Hello and welcome to Asian Gaming Brief's face-to-face series. Today I'm going to be talking with Jit Ng, who's the newly appointed Chief Marketing Officer at Hoiana in Vietnam. We're going to be talking about the reopening to tourism there, the prospects for Hoiana, and his marketing efforts around the region in the absence of Chinese tourists. Morning, Jit, and thank you. Well, good morning for me at least. Nice to have you with us. Congratulations on your appointment. We see Vietnam's now reopening to tourists. How are you seeing demand? What's the situation on the ground?
To answer your question, obviously, I'm very optimistic because for the last 2 years, we are kind of like living in isolation, at least in the majority of Asian countries. So many travelers are already yearning to revisit their favorite destination. And as you know, Vietnam is a top tourist destination in Asia. So I'm very optimistic in that aspect, but I'm also very pragmatic to take into consideration facets like quarantines that really might suppress those appetite. So as countries starts to dial down their quarantine level, as you have seen in reports, Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, they have all dialed down their quarantine level. We should see a big surge of travels coming back.
In the broader scheme of things, COVID aside, how much potential do you see in Vietnam as both a tourism market and as a sort of gambling destination market?
So let's just cover the tourism market. At least in central Vietnam, it is one of the key industry before the pandemic. So Da Nang itself has recorded about 15.5 million arrivals in 2019, which is really a huge market of potential. And about 40% were from China and almost close to 40% were from Korea. So we do see that this is actually a huge potential from a tourism perspective in terms of central Vietnam. There are many reasons why. Obviously, the gastronomy here in central Vietnam are spectacular. We have beautiful beaches, and of course, the friendly people. And the best part about Vietnam or central Vietnam, I guess, is you can like go to the beach today, or you can do a really nice mountain hiking tomorrow, which is just a little bit about 30 minutes drive away into some mountain trails. So gaming. Now, Vietnam is actually kind of like starting, and it's at early stages of development in regards to gaming. So there are still a lot of opportunity for us. And obviously, we are the only integrated resort here in central Vietnam, which is why we become quite a great destination as a catch-all for most of the travelers who are visiting central Vietnam. So from a gaming perspective, we see a lot of opportunities because more and more of our gaming customers or gaming patrons are not only looking for just gaming, but they are also looking for great experiences or real authentic experiences, which is where we can offer them.
And what is your primary focus going to be at Hoiana? What are you going to be doing?
Now, Hoiana is kind of like a fresh face in the industry. We are fairly new. We haven't even had our own official launch in the market, and the pandemic hit. So basically, we just stay quietly and manage the all the developments across. So I see us as really a challenger brand, and it really has much more potential than just a casino because we are kind of like an urban township. We have 1,000 hectares of land that we need to develop that covers obviously hotels, resorts, villas, and other commercial districts as well. So there are ample opportunity that we will be expanding ourselves in the different areas. So in a nutshell, I'll really be spending much of my time in building Hoiana's brand equity and its preference as a five-star luxurious integrated resort here in Vietnam.
Obviously, prior to the pandemic, the China market you just mentioned was a very big sector of that tourism arrivals to that area of Vietnam. What do you see as we come out of COVID, how are you going to make up for those arrivals, or will they come back indeed?
Obviously, as I highlighted before the pandemic, there were huge visitors from Vietnam and also from Korea coming in. And right now, with China doing a zero COVID strategy, we will probably put our focus on China at the moment until they resume their travels. So our focus right now is really on those countries who are lowering their quarantines, who are also having flight resumption back into Da Nang, direct flights at least.
So, how does your marketing strategy have to change to pivot to those different markets?
See, there's really no one size that fits all into those markets, because if you look at the markets that are like Korea or Taiwan, they have very different market size and cultural differences. And of course, the languages comes into play. So, and moreover, every single one of our guests who visit us has curated experiences that are really relevant to their needs as well. And that makes us unique in how we cater to all our different customer base. So to add on, with our vision to become the preeminent luxurious integrated resort here in Vietnam, our strategy is really about curation of experiences for every single one of our customers. So in terms of the plan, it will be very, very much custom based on the market differences.
Right, okay. And how will you use digital channels, social media? How big a role will they play in your strategy?
Frankly, the adoption of digital has went through the roof in the last 2 years. I mean, with the introduction of work from home and social distancing, and obviously, right now we are chatting with each other across different time zones as well. And this would not have happened many years ago before the pandemic. So digital has actually become the forefront of everything we do and in all our marketing plans, because it's the most effective medium in the world right now, because we are always connected, we are always informed, and frankly, we are most actively advertised on digital platform right now.
What can you be a bit more specific? What are you finding to be most effective at the moment? And again, does that vary as per market?
There probably are standards areas that we looked at that is most effective, like influencers. They probably play a very big role in bringing our Hoiana experiences to life from different perspective. They might be different in a little bit of nuances like languages if it's Korea or Taiwan or any other market, but influencers still play a huge role, because they will be able to see our resort from a very, very different point of view. Could be a point of view that some of our customers will find it very refreshing as well. So that probably is one of the strategy. The other part of the strategy that we will probably be looking at is actually our database, and of course maximizing the usage of data mining and understanding how our customer needs are going to be met, and use that to drive our strategies in terms of digital promotions.
Interested in that influencer theory. Are there any particular markets where that is more prevalent than others? And I know China a few years ago, you had to be in with the influencers, but I'd heard that that was gone off the boil a bit.
Yes, within the markets that we are focusing right now, the influences are still very, very strong. It might not be those big influences like the one in China where they are huge, but there are what we call micro influencers. And even influencers nowadays are broken down into the key opinion leaders or key opinion consumers. And KOCs are actually one of the biggest growth area, because they are actually paying customers who will write about you. And working in collaboration with them sometimes are beneficial, because they provide us really, really good feedback in how we can be better in terms of service, our amenities, our offerings, because they're actually paying customers as well, rather than the KOL who are basically just here to experience as a key opinion leader. So even within the influencers, there has been a huge change in the last 2 years after the pandemic, and we are no longer just focusing on one big influencer, but actually multiple different segments of micro influencers. Some are good in talking about hotels, some are good in talking about food, some are good in the nature experiences that we bring forth. So those are how we start splitting up this influencer marketing strategy.
Fascinating. Okay, you mentioned a few times that obviously Hoiana is a luxury experience. A lot of problems in the VIP market of late, especially the China market. How do you see that evolving?
Now, short term, there will be an adjustment period for operators who rely heavily on them. There is no doubt. However, if you look at the luxury market, it has been enjoying a record-breaking growth. If you look into the data, there's about 48% increase of China's domestic sales of personal luxury goods in 2020, and 36% increase in 2021, which total up to about 470 billion RMB. And it's almost doubling in 2 years. So there are still a good appetite for luxury goods and luxury travel. And basically, we are in the right position to welcome these very discerning travelers who are seeking for that kind of experiences.
On the junket side, are you still working with junkets at Hoiana, or how is that working?
We have already stopped working with any junkets at the moment in time. So we don't have Sun City. We don't have any other junkets right now that are from Macau.
Okay. And I think we've sort of covered this, but I'd just like to hear again a little bit from sort of concrete. How would you like to see the Hoiana brand positioned?
Actually, the biggest difference at Hoiana is authenticity. And it's hard to find, especially if you look at our competitions in Macau, who are basically trying to be very authentic, but yet it's just a very small plot of land, and they can do by just building on to that. For us, we have real nature, we have real experiences, we have a stunning 4 kilometer of white sandy beach. It's 4 kilometer long, so you can literally do a mini marathon just on our beach. And our guests can really enjoy the best beach time, soaking up the light breeze from the sea with an amazing view. So we are also nestled near to UNESCO World Heritage Site, and they are true heritage site that has been around for a long time. And it's only about 15 minutes drive away. And all our guests will have the opportunity to enjoy some cultural insights. And in many of our research, we believe that our affluent customers are already looking for that kind of experience, not just hotel, five-star hotel, or a great gaming, but also some experience beyond that.
Thanks very much for taking the time and joining us today. That's great. All the
No
best with the
problem.
job, and Hoiana, keep in touch.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you for joining us today. Please join us every Friday for our interviews with thought leaders in Asia's gaming industry.